The next step is to convert our CAL to the AL language. The differences between two languages are quite significant. CAL was originally developed with Navision. It was the language that came with Navision 1.0 all those years ago, and it is the language that all core functionality in Nav is developed in. So all the posting routines, all the calculations of prices is all written in CAL. Similarly, all development done by third-party developers is currently done in CAL. The environment we use for that is an application called Seaside, and it's a fairly easy to use and easy to handle in development environments. AL, on the other hand, is a new language introduced in NAV 2018 or version 11, and its design is specifically for extension development. That means there's a lot of tools and functionalities in there that help us write extensions for Business Central and NAV. It's written in an application called VS Code. This is a new Microsoft development environment, and it's not just for AL development. It's a tool that's used by JavaScript, PHP developers, and onwards. It's becoming a very much an industry standard development environment. For the first and only sprint in this section, we're going to take 3 steps. Firstly, we're going to export the CAL objects to a text file. We're then going to use a command to split that text file into a file per object, so we get one file per CAL object. And finally, we're going to use the new Microsoft tool, text2al.exe, to convert those files into the new AL language automatically. So to do this, I'm going to have to use 3 separate commands. If I look in this file, we'll see that I have the commands pre-prepared. The first command is using the FinSQL application, which has been around with Nav since a fair few versions ago, and there is a whole command string I need to use. The important section of this command really is the command equals export to new syntax. This enables us to export the text files in a way that can be converted. If you were to simply go into the development environment and export them as text files using the normal process, you wouldn't be able to convert them. They don't include some data that's needed later on in the process. So I'm going to go into my role-tailored client application folder, and I'm going to simply take this command and paste it in. In the command, we can see that there is a server name, so that's where my CAL development is done, and a database I'm extracting from. I can also see that I've filtered for modified equals yes. I'm going to extract all objects. I also need to create a destination folder for these. So in my documents folder, I'm going to create a vehicles directory. This is where my files are going to go. So now when I run the command and look back into my vehicles folder, I can see I've got a CAL all objects file. And if I open that up, I can see that that is the text version of all the work we've already done. All the tables and all the pages we've created, all in a human readable format to a certain extent. So next, I'm going to need to split that file into individual files, one per object. Luckily, there is a tool that can help us with this from PowerShell that splits nav application object files for us. The command I'm going to use is a command called split nav application object file. Pretty much does what it says in the tin, which is take an object file that's been exported like we did before and split it out automatically for us. This saves a lot of effort of having to go through the file and do it manually. So I can paste that into my PowerShell. However, before doing so, I actually need to load in that command into my PowerShell environment. These are held inside, again, that same role-tailored client folder. So I need to go in and find the nav model tools PowerShell scripts. I can open that up and run it, and this will now load those applets, those commands into my PowerShell environment, ready for me to use. Now I can paste in my command, and you can see here it has some nice syntax highlighting, so I can see both the source folder, that's my CAL all objects.txt, and the destination folder. So now I need to create that destination folder so the files have somewhere to go, and I'll call that CAL split. Finally, I can run that command, and my CAL objects are now split out. So if I go back into my folder, I can now see a file per CAL object. Notice the naming of these files, they're prefixed with object and then object number. Now I have some split files. The last step is to convert those to AL using the text2al command, which you can see is in my example here. Again, we have a source folder and a destination folder, so I need to go away and create my destination folder of AL. This will also rename the files to a more human readable format, which is quite a nice functionality. So I'm going to create my AL folder, and now I can take that command line and I can go away and put it into my command prompt. So here I'm going to go and pick up that command line and simply paste it in. Once I paste it in, we should see that it gives me some nice output, which is the files it's created. So it's renamed my files. It took a fraction of a second. This process is usually very quick. And I've now got my AL files. These are all converted, ready to go, and ready to be put into my AL project.